I'm sure that many of you have been on this path now for many years. A lot of people have been telling me that they have experienced some sort of awakening in the past 10 years, and that is likely. The big jump happened in 2013, and from then on, it's just been more and more people having different types of experiences. Sometimes it's not always just heart awakening. Sometimes it's just knowledge that comes to people and they think it's a heart awakening. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're woken up just because you have more knowledge or experience about how the world works. So things like FEMA camps and things like that that are um, spraying the fields and all kinds of things that are supposed to be conspiratorial and everything, they're not necessarily, doesn't necessarily mean you've woken up. You're just aware more of things, and the government kind of control and all that. But if you're placing the responsibility of yourself, of your life on government, you're still in the trap, because obviously you need to take responsibility for your own reality, your own creativity, and your own creation of your own reality. So if you're blaming anybody else other than yourself, then you are in trouble, because the responsibility always lies with you. It never lies with anybody else. You are always responsible for what's happening. And this is the difference between the 3D reality that we've been living in and the 5D reality which we're entering into. Fourth D is where a lot of astral things are happening and a lot of pushing and pulling happens. And a lot of people don't realize that we are living a lot into the fourth dimension already. So there's kind of the fourth dimension is quite malleable. It's quite something that we can manipulate or use or create from. It's like clay that we mold, and then we can even use it to create things with. So in my case, I have been on the path for since I was born. It's been quite strange. Even when I've had a very hard time, and growing up has been extremely difficult. And I know a lot of people have said that they've been really low, and a lot of people have been way lower than me and being raised in really bad, negative environments. I completely agree with that. I've had the experience of alienation and things like that, and nobody really being able to guide me or tell me, because I grew up in a family that was really traditional, and things didn't make sense to them. They were scared. So I really had a tough time figuring things out. So since I've been born, it's like I've been a blind man in the dark. Well, in what's been happening is that when I started my journey, it did start when I was very young. I started to get visions, and by between 12 and 15, where I was picked up by dragon energy. So dragon energy started to rise up over my family's bean-shaped pool. I remember waking up out of my body and seeing a giant dragon with red eyes looking down at me, and that was the beginning of the rising up of that energy which has been buried for so long. The awakening happens from within. It's all internal. It has nothing to do with anything external. And any sort of scrutiny you should be doing with yourself, really, not with governments or anything else. That's just sideshow, and you can take a look at it and you know laugh about it. And it also reflects what's going on in the collective consciousness. We are literally pulling together as a group. It's no longer individual. The individual needs to bring themselves to a certain point before they can join the collective. The collective now is pulling or turning the wheel together. So we do need that collective energy, yes. And the best thing to do is go with people that you vibe with the most, and not try to work with people that really don't understand your or vibe on the same level. I move entirely with my own vibration, and anything that is attracted to me whether it's good or bad or anything, is definitely of my own creation. So I need to take responsibility for that. And even things that you wouldn't imagine are that you attract, you really need to scrutinize and see what situations that the universe brings to you. And it gives you an insight into yourself. It's hard to see your own backside, so it's always good for the universe to show you things and give you a picture of where you stand. So currently we are at 5D. We've entered some sort of gateway in the past few months, and people are definitely moving together in sync, and we can tell from the amount of synchronicities going on everywhere. What is on the rise is the dragon energy. So I always observe to see which people are born in the year of the dragon. They tend to have a really a funny kind of thing going on, a vibe. So I always take a look to see what kind of things are associated with the dragon, and we know that it is the child energies, so children, male energies, and female energy. So there's the yin yang situation with the dragon serpent energy. So for me, it's really hard to explain in words. It's always usually done through feelings or instinct for me. But the dragon energies also are associated with the leylines on the planet. So anything that's been blocked on the planet is now being sort of shaken loose. You could see that the planet is having all kinds of weather, strange weather things going on, and things changing worldwide and on the planet. So we really are going to be looking at this new 5D reality. We're going to be pushing and pulling together into it, into greater expansion. The majority of the work for most people has now been done. So we've reached up to a certain level. There's always more to do and always more to learn, but we have reached the tipping point, and we're moving into a different direction now than we have been before in the past. It's quite exciting. So for me, it has been particularly intense. All time seems to have compressed itself for me, and I feel quite a lot of things happening in short amounts of times, especially since I've had so many shifts happening and so many deaths and reawakenings happening through my life. And it's everything is so intense, and everything I've learned has always been not really learning it, but remembering things. So when I entered the path of the warrior, which only happened really, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, not very long. It didn't really have to be that long. I really learned everything in a compressed amount of time. Previous to that, I was still learning things, but it's all about putting this knowledge together and coming up with a vision of what is happening on the planet, and what's happening on the planet and what's happening to me as an individual will always be in sync and will always feed back information to me, because we're all on our own journey, our own path to discovery. So it really is, nobody's path is better than anybody else's, but I really am enjoying. It's quite adventurous, and just remember that it's all within, it's all internal, and there is nothing external really. And this is why for me it's been amazing, and a great amount of learning happening. Everything is completely internal though. You'd never know looking at me that all this information is going on. It's like a magnet. I'm pulling all this information and then kind of putting it together in my mind. It's really amazing, and I really think that it's been an amazing experience having a relationship with the universe, which has really, really changed me a lot. So thank you though for listening, and I will come back again and talk about particular things, and especially now that I'm finally doing videos, because I'm not very good with the camera, and I have been up to now quite silent, and quite hidden, because I've just gotten used to that, so many years of doing things by myself in silence or in the darkness. So and I've just gotten used to it, really. And but yeah, I'm quite enjoying it, and hopefully now things will be much more easy, and I'll be able to put out more videos. But thank you so much for listening.